Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 6:30 starts right now.
Thanks for joining me at 6:30. I'm Rick Maranon. Tonight we're going in depth with Tulsa County Sheriff Regalado. I asked him to come in and speak unedited about illegal immigration in Oklahoma. There is a lot of information out there, including about his own agency, and we want to break down the facts, fiction, and address some of the fear that is out there. Joining me today to talk about illegal immigration is Tulsa County Sheriff Regalado. Thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
There's a lot of fact, fiction, fear out there. I just want us to break it all down. Are you a part of any operations at the moment, as far as with ICE goes?
No, we are not. So it's really very simple when you cut out all the rumors and lies, quite frankly, about what our role as the sheriff's office is with ICE. So I'm glad we're doing this because I think that, this is reminiscent of 2016 when Trump did his first term. There was so many rumors and fear-mongering in regards to what was going to happen, and it's unfortunate because things like that create this fear within our immigrant communities, and it's unfair to them, it's unfair to everybody else. But that being said, so the role of the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office is, and has been since I took office, we do have the 287G program. And what that is, in its simplest form, is that if you get arrested on a state charge or federal charge and you come to our jail and you're booked into our jail, we have detention officers that are specially trained to navigate the 287G program, which is essentially a program that determines your citizenship. And if it's determined that you have entered into this country through illegal means, then a detainer is placed on you. And all that means is that you have to deal with your state charges first. After that, then you're detained. So you're not allowed to bond out, you can't be released, and then you have to go through the system, and that's typically immigration court or deportation, depending. And so that's how that works. What we don't do is anything outside the jail. So in other words, if ICE decides they're going to conduct an apprehension for people who are here, who aren't citizens here and who've entered the country illegally, that's on them. The federal government enforces immigration. We do not. And so that's the extent of it. Inside of our jail, we did used to have the ICE housing, which is very different than 287G. But we got rid of that several years ago. And the difference was the ICE housing was a holding facility for people getting ready to get deported back to their respective countries. And so that's what that was. So again, it's really simple when you understand what our role is and understand what these programs are. But unfortunately, we still have people that through social media are saying that we're conducting raids, or ICE has been spotted at wherever in Tulsa, and then they're rounding people up. We even had an elected official say that we had a secret ICE pod within our jail. I mean, that's reckless and flat out irresponsible. And so we hope we are consistently taking part of town hall meetings. I have a deputy that every weekend is on the Hispanic radio station Que Buena, and ensuring that our immigrant community knows what our role is and what it isn't. It's important for us in law enforcement because we do our core function is to respond to 911 emergencies, right? And if we don't have the trust of our communities, what we've seen happen is that they won't call. And then, as a consequence of that, we see crime rising within our immigrant communities. And we can't have that. We are here to serve, regardless of citizenship. Now, what is our role again in terms of assisting ICE? That's the 287G program and providing space for individuals that have been arrested and face deportation.
I know we had talked previously, and we've done stories before about illegal immigrants getting bail while they wait for their court cases. Have you gotten any new guidance on that? Is that over with?
Yes. So again, a lot of this, unfortunately, is driven through politics. So depending what administration you have in there is dependent on how immigration is enforced, unfortunately. During the Biden administration, we still had the 287G program. But unfortunately, the mandate was that we were ordered to go ahead and let them go free or let them bond out. So the consequences of that is that we were releasing criminals back into our society, back into the streets of Tulsa. Now that the Biden administration is out, the Trump administration has taken over, we're not letting people go. ICE is not letting people go anymore. You get arrested, you're going to get deported. You know, and I want to kind of dive into that if I can real quickly.
I was going to ask you about it.
So these are not individuals that was arrested for a stop sign violation or has a traffic warrant. These are individuals that are committing serious crimes that impact our streets in Tulsa. You know, during the 2016 era, there was always the rumors that we were, you know, that agencies were arresting people, again, for simple things like traffic, and then we were deporting them. That simply wasn't true. More people were actually let go with those minor offenses, and with a concentration on the ones that were committing very serious crimes. And so it was very successful. And what I tell people in regards to what's going on now, you've gone through a Trump administration already, you know, and Tulsa was not affected by that, other than the criminals that were being apprehended and deported. This time around, it's a little heavier because of the Biden administration and its reckless handling of the border. We have thousands upon thousands of people who have entered here, with 600,000+ of them have criminal backgrounds that include convictions for murder. Many of them are wanted for murder, for trafficking, sexual abuse, and very horrific crimes. And so, you know, is the temperature a little bit different now? Absolutely. But the one piece of advice when asked, and that I give, is that if you are here and you entered the country through illegal means, you know, the best way is probably to go back so that you're not apprehended, because if you get arrested and deported, it's 5 years before you can come back, is to try and do it the right way. But if you've been here for years, you have family, you have roots, you're working, continue doing that and don't break the law. I mean, it's that simple. Don't break the law. Right now, the concentration is on individuals who have entered this country who are dangerous, you know, and then, of course, securing the border, which is what everybody wants. And so, anyway, I know it can be a fearful time for our immigrant community, and I do sympathize with that, and all the reason why we need to seize the opportunity of ensuring or making it very clear to our elected officials that we want common sense immigration reform and, of course, border security. This has continued to be a political football for many, many years now. And it's unfortunate because the people who suffer are our immigrants that are coming here. I mean, many of them, you know, took a very treacherous path in which to enter this country. Many of them are, the women were raped. Many of the children, by the way, which we have thousands that have of unaccompanied children that enter to the United States, that no one knows where they're at. You know, and then the facts are this: 72% of human trafficking victims are illegal immigrants. 60% of the children brought across were kidnapped by cartels and brought into the United States and sent off, probably in illegal sex trafficking. You know, so these are people who came here and risked, despite the dangerous path that it comes here. And I think that, one, you know, we certainly should have compassion for them. But two, it's reckless to have an open border and say, come one, come all, knowing that's going to happen and knowing that ultimately you're going to get apprehended and probably sent back. You know, we have to figure out a better way for people, and that's, you know.
Let me ask you real quick, I'm almost out of time. If I get pulled over by one of your deputies, am I going to be asked, am I in the country legally, or is that now a standard question to ask, I mean, I know you have zero tolerance for racial profiling, people getting pulled over for the color of their skin. How do you handle these traffic stops?
Okay, so we will handle them as always. No, we do not ask you where you're from. We don't ask you your citizenship. We will ask you for your license. We'll ask you for your basic information if you don't have a license, and things like that. I want to point out that we made it clear during the passing of 4156 right here in Oklahoma that would allow local law enforcement to determine your citizenship on the side of a road. We will not partake in that for that very simple reason. I mean, it does lead to racial profiling, things like that. So again, we have to sit down and collectively get rid of the political side of it, get rid of the left, the right, meet in the middle and come up with common sense, compassionate immigration reform, and of course border security. The one thing that I will point out very quickly is that throughout the past, border security and immigration, was always thought of as a wedge, a political wedge deal. Well, what this past election proved is that it's not. In fact, Americans of all stripes made it very clearly that they want a mandate in protecting our borders and coming up with common sense immigration reform. And so that's what we need to concentrate on instead of politicizing this.
Sheriff, thank you so much for stopping by.
You're
I'm out
welcome.
of time today. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
You betcha. Okay.